Hey, good morning from the office. If you're expecting to see Brian this morning, you're out of luck. I think I think, where's Brian this morning? I think he's going to the southern border to meet Trump.
Could be.
Yeah, either that or he's going to something in Gilmer County. Anyway, we're glad to be here. RFG and BAC.
Hey, hey.
Yep, we normally see you guys on Friday on the All-Star panel, but we are here. We're North Georgia's only live broadcast, and we're delighted to be here. We're going to be all over the board a little bit this morning. We've got, we're obviously going to touch on the president's remarks last night, the rebuttal by the angry parents.
You mean The Walking Dead?
Yeah. They needed a glass of water or something.
They looked horrible.
Anyway, we're going to, we'll cover a little sports, do a little international news, and just see where it follows. But like I said, we're delighted to be here this morning, and let's kick it off.
Well, we need to do the Facebook, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. We got to get back in the groove. Josh, you want to tell them how to get a hold of us here at Fetcher News? There we go. You can reach us by Twitter at Fetcher News. You can go to our YouTube page, FYNTV Fetcher News, or you can go to Instagram at FYNTV at Fetcher News. So, and the show number 706-889-9700. That's a 24/7 number. If you want to get into the show, if you want to talk to the producer of the show, Josh, we're glad you're here this morning to take care of our wayward ways. But anyway,
on to the address.
You got your pen ready to go, all right?
Yes. Well, it was opened with breathless amazement about the gravitas. The gravitas. It was such a well delivered, 9 minutes. I think it.
It was very presidential.
Yes, I think it was, in my humble opinion. But again, a lot of the commentators are saying, this is Trump's first one, and typically these things aren't used necessarily for subjects like this. But I think it worked out well, and as we've had some internal discussion, it was an opportunity for him to get his message out uninterrupted to people who normally on the mainstream media would not see him.
If you watch the mainstream media when he's speaking, all they do is interrupt.
Yeah.
They keep throwing their innuendos in.
Mm-hmm.
They keep, oh, that's not true. That's a fact check. We're out to fact check that. He never gets a clear, concise message to the people.
Right.
And I think their heads are spinning off this morning, the mainstream media, because he got his 9 minutes uninterrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, and he went through the laundry list of items: drugs, meth, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, plus human trafficking, all the things that contribute to this humanitarian and crisis at the border. He talked about the 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens over the last several years. In 2018, over 20,000 children were brought in, some small part of that with their real parents. A lot had fake parents, unaccompanied minors. That's where the human trafficking and sexual issues come up. So Homeland Security built the plan that he wants the money for. I mean, it wasn't something that, they have said has come from him. Homeland Security built this plan with the barrier, the weapons, the people, medical, and I think he made a very compelling case for it.
He's just tired of kicking the can down the road.
Well, yeah, and all the talk afterwards was, in 2006 they voted $25 billion, in 2013 they, I think, voted something over $30 billion, and you have to ask yourself, if they voted for it, whatever happened to it? Why didn't they do it? Why didn't they move it forward?
He made reference to that last night, that that people, they flip. And that gets to the heart of to the meat of the whole thing. Trump is Trump. I mean, there's no getting away from it. They don't like him. at the end of the day, they don't like him. So anything
and they
that
still can't believe that he won. I mean, I think that really just sticks in their craw.
yeah, you know, he called it a crisis of heart and a crisis of soul, and all they did was meander around to say that he was lying. There was malice. This isn't a crisis. What is it if it's not a crisis? My goodness.
The crisis is manufactured.
A manufactured crisis.
It's not a real crisis. It's all
those were the talking points all day yesterday.
Yeah, beforehand.
You know, it's like they all get up at 4 a.m. in the morning and listen to the Democratic talking points. And if you flip MSNBC, CNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN. Oh, I didn't really want to say that one, but you can put a montage together and they'll be saying the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's
just
drumbeat.
amazing.
It's a drumbeat of the exact same words, you know, with like different facial expressions from, you know, the different people saying it. But the verbiage is identical. What
was your? Have you got any favorite moments in the first 9 minutes? Anything that jumped out at you, really compelling? I think it was.
No, I think you said you had that one line that you really liked.
The one line that I really like is when he said, you know, politicians have walls around their house. Walls are nothing new. Walls work. The reason walls are put up is not to keep people out, but to protect the people inside that you love. And I thought that was really, really well said. Really well said, and it jumped right out at me anyway. In fact, you know, I wrote it down because it seemed to grab it right then and there.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 320 million Americans that you know, any president has to love. I mean, that's his first requirement of the office, to, like, you know, ensure the safety and security of those 320 million Americans. And of course, that number does include some people who are here illegally. But let's say they're here and we love them, and let's protect the people that are here right now.
You've heard Trump say a million times, well, his one job, his main focus is to protect the Americans, just like you said.
Yes.
It's to protect the U.S. citizens. That's the main job, and that is his mantra. That is what he stands for, and he's not backing down, folks. I mean, he called them back into the office today, see if they can get something done, and it's all semantics. It's just all about not letting Trump have a win in their mind.
Yeah, if you go back and look at what, you know, Chuck and Nancy voted for over the years, Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, they've all said that President Obama, former President Obama, there needs to be a protection at the border to prevent illegal immigrants coming in. They've all said this. They're all on the record. The video doesn't lie. But when it comes to their opportunity to move this forward for the country, they start playing partisan politics. And as the president said, I mean, he had one line in there about, you know, this is a question of right and wrong, or justice and injustice. And I you know, that's spot on. I mean, you can't get any plainer than that. And I think Americans are looking for, you know, sort of a bipartisan compromise approach on this. And I think Democrats are trying to separate the slowdown from this issue because they want comprehensive reform. That's what always comes up in these discussions. Oh, we have to do comprehensive immigration reform.
He's already offered that once too. Well, he's offered DACA reform. He's offered all of that.
Well, I mean, DACA is only one piece of it, though. I think there are other pieces in there, like temporary visas, expanding H-1B visas. What do you do with the people here already illegally? Do we send them to the back of the line? They can't agree on that or don't want to agree. But, I mean, and then it starts getting clogged up with all these issues. And I think, as we all know, and as the viewers or the listeners know, you know, American politicians have a damn hard time of getting together and solving issues. They talk things to death and nothing happens. And I think people are sick of it on this one. and want some action.
It's all about getting reelected. They got to make sure that they keep their base stoked up. Josh, do you have that, were you able to get that piece, the video? Do you have it queued up? No, I want to give a little intro on it. I don't know if anybody has seen or heard Lawrence, let me see, what is his name? Lawrence
Jones?
Lawrence Jones, head of, he is the CEO of Campus Reform. And Cabot Phillips, he's their go-to media guy. He did a piece the other day which was really, really compelling, and it kind of gives you an idea of what goes through people's mind that are just so against Trump. They don't care what they're hearing, they don't care where it came from, but if it comes to them and it was told that it was from Trump, it gets hammered. It's 3 minutes long, and it's really, really cool the way Cabot Phillips does this video, and it's a bunch of college kids on campus that are being read different statements about the wall, about immigration, and they are led to believe that it came from Donald Trump. So, Josh, roll that here, and we'll take a look at it on the monitor out here.
Today we're at American University in Washington, D.C., talking to students about President Trump's proposed border wall. And we're going to be reading them a few quotes from President Trump in defense of his wall. But the thing is, they're not actually President Trump quotes. They're actually quotes from Democrat leaders defending stricter border security. What will students say when they find out? Let's go have a look. There's a government shutdown going on right now. Yeah. President Trump saying he wants funding for his border wall. The Democrats saying we're not going to give as much funding as you want. What's your thought on his push for this wall?
I am not a fan.
Everyone has a shared reaction to this. It's absolutely horrendous.
I really don't see a need for it.
I don't think there should be a wall. The wall is a really unrealistic solution. I mean, there have been many videos that have shown people easily crossing the wall that is supposed to keep people out or whatever.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Isn't there pretty much already fencing?
I'm going to read a few quotes here from President Trump talking about the need for the southern border wall. First quote, we should spend money to build a barrier to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. Another quote, we simply cannot allow people to pour into the U.S. undetected, undocumented, and unchecked. Quote, illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple. Until the American people are convinced we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, we'll make no progress. When you hear quotes like that, what's your reaction to them?
It's divisive. I think America is a land of opportunity, place for inclusion.
I just really think it's kind of hateful speech in general.
It's just a negative message. When he talks about illegal immigrants, it's just one rude to talk about people like that.
It kind of underlies a lot of things about discrimination and people and their prejudices and things like that. So I feel like that stuff is touchy to talk about.
There are racial biases sort of deep embedded in there.
In a word, I'd say it's more jingoist.
Well, I think his demeanor overall is just unacceptable.
I think just the way that he's referring to people across the wall is very dehumanizing.
So rhetoric like that is not helpful?
No, not at all.
What if I told you these were from Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton?
How about that?
Really?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Democrats and Republicans have said things about border control.
That's interesting. I didn't think that. That's interesting.
That would surprise me.
It's true.
Well then, can you tell me which ones they were respectively?
That's a very good surprise, by the way. If this were a Trump quote, I believe it would be a lot more, maybe a lot less calculated.
I don't know. They wouldn't say that. I feel
they did.
It's their demeanor is the way they come off is I don't even know what to say.
I'm not surprised.
Why is that?
Well, because I guess I'm a little older than most of the college. I'm 20. I'm a graduate student. I'm 26, and so I remember Clinton's administration and what they did with immigration and what the Democrats' stance was then.
Got it.
So I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I'm Cabot Phillips with Campus Reform. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw,
Man, I'll tell you what. I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy. I mean, those kids were led to believe that Trump was responsible for all of those, and first thing they did was hammer, oh, it's divisive, it's not any good. And then they were told, and they all had egg on their face, it was told that Obama said it, Schumer said it, Hillary said it, and they didn't know what to say then. So, I mean, this is a perfect example of even what the mainstream media does. I know you couldn't hear it because you don't have an earpiece in, but
right. I could read lips.
Yeah,
it looked pretty sad.
Yeah,
but that sort of leads right into the response from Nancy and Sluggo last night.
Yeah, let's talk Nancy and Sluggo. You know what? A friend of mine, Ross, he sent me yesterday Nancy and Sluggo, and sure enough, do you have that comic book cover that I sent you? Nancy and Sluggo, the one, the first one with the name up there. Yeah, here you go, Nancy and Sluggo. This was a comic strip that came out when Nancy was born in 1933. Now, actually, it did come out in 1933. She probably isn't quite that old, but she sure seems like it. Anyway, and Sluggo was her buddy. She was a very precocious little 8-year-old, and it was featured in like 333 magazines or newspapers nationwide. And Sluggo was her friend from the wrong side of the tracks.
Oh boy!
But and that's the other one. The other one gets me too. That the second one, the two of them. This is what reminded this. I brought this one up coming out of the Jack in the Box, and it looked like the two of them in the podium last night. If you could have put flags behind it. Do you have that one, Josh? The other. Do you have two Nancy and Sluggo or just one? It's acting up. There you go. Well, those.
Oh my gosh.
Those are the two giving the response last night.
Jacques in Le Box. Oh.
So anyway,
but you know, again, I mean, the response from Nancy and Chuck Sluggo was fear-mongering, manufactured crisis. Chuck said this is another temper tantrum from the president. Nancy was going, paycheck withholding hurts innocent people, and the border problem is humanitarian. Well, you know, okay, it's humanitarian. Do something about it. But, you know, the mantra for the Democrats has been, oh, stop the government shutdown first, then we will address the border issue. Now, as it was brought up by President Trump, decades. This has been going on for decades. It's a classic kick the can down the road.
Right.
And I just think Americans are sick and tired of no action. They're just gumming this thing to death, and they never act. What do you think?
Yeah, well, the problem that they've got this morning is that everybody on social media, and I'm looking at some of the stuff right now, they're all making fun of them. They didn't even listen to what they said. They're making fun of the way they look. They said they look like angry parents.
I thought they looked like Walking Dead.
But. Greg Gutfeld had a great response. He said it's like two octogenarians trying to sell you a reverse mortgage. I mean, I thought that was brilliant.
Is he slamming Tom Selleck? Come on.
Most of you have probably seen the picture, the take on the American Gothic painting, which was brilliant. It had their heads superimposed in that. Josh, if you could take Nancy and Sluggo down for a minute and put up the American Gothic picture. I mean, I think, oh, God, I think that is absolutely brilliant.
Perfect. I think that sums it up pretty good. It really does. Just a couple other facts. Just going back to the address, you know, not talked about much. Of the 2,200 miles of border, the southern border, 30% of it already has some type of barricade, typically around the major cities, which are ports of entry. And that tends to you know, force the really bad people, the drug smugglers, the mules, if you will, out into the very remote areas. So I think some of the discussion about where new barriers go would be those types of places. You know, some places like around Texas with the Big Bend National Park. I mean, there's mountains there that are very difficult to get over, and you probably don't need any kind of fencing there. Maybe electronic aerial surveillance, something like that might work in places like that. But 30% is already done. I mean, so that's over 700 miles, and I think they just want to, you know, expand that out, so they will force these people to come through the ports of entry, because going anywhere else will be dangerous for them. I mean, they're going to start losing people, and that, you know, if you're a human trafficker, I mean, that sort of diminishes the enthusiasm of the people that are trying to get across the border.
Right. The some of these shots that are trending on social media is just here's one that weighed in. Here's a TV tip for Schumer and Pelosi. When on a 2-shot, which is the two of them, look at the person talking, not at the camera. It gives people the impression that it's a hostage tape.
Oh, why?
That's what it looked like at times. It looked like they were begging for ransom money.
It's almost like this boxing robot. Someone behind him, like, you know, was like, you know.
Oh my. Anyway, well.
Another little statistic I heard this morning: the Center of Immigration Studies done a pretty thorough analysis, and they said the cost to the U.S. Over an immigrant's lifetime. Now, again, I don't know how they determine what a lifetime of an immigrant is, but they said it's roughly $82,000. So, I mean, if you take the $82,000 times the 11 million reputed to be here illegally, and people think that number is probably on the downside, should be higher. If you run that out, you know, just over that 11 million number, I mean, that's $900 billion that is going to come out of this economy to support immigrants. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But then another big number is the drugs. It was thrown out, I think, in the discussion last night or the presentation, $500 billion. You know, the value of the drugs that come across. So,
right.
You know, this
street value.
$5 billion for the wall, $25 billion for, you know, everything. I mean, it's peanuts when you compare it to these other numbers.
That's why it all comes back to the hypocrisy again. There's when you boil it down and you put all the facts on the table, there's absolutely no reason why the government's not open and why this thing is not under construction. Well, and they keep saying, well, you know, we gave him 1.6 and he didn't even use that. Well, it's just the wheels of government. I mean, it takes a while to get that bad boy churning and turning.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these costs, whether they're right or not, I don't know all the things they touch on. I mean, just on the states, California supposedly has a huge budget deficit, unfunded pension liabilities, things like that, and they have, I think, the largest number of illegal immigrants purported to be there. The cost of these people, education, the kids go into the public schools, medical, you know, they show up at the hospitals, they get free care. And I think to a lot of working Americans, that really sticks in their craw because they're going, hey, I'm working, I'm paying taxes, I'm doing things by the book. And these people just, you know, come across the border and take advantage of all the freebies in the system. I mean, and it's just wrong.
Those are the people that voted for Trump. I mean, we are a giving country, and there's no question about that. But we also have to abide by the rule of law. And if you don't like the way the law currently reads, change it. But just don't say we don't have to. You cannot pick and choose which laws you want to support.
But they never change it. I mean, there's such a divergence of opinion on what should be changed and how it should be done.
Yeah.
That decades.
Right.
They have been gumming this to death for decades.
Gumming it to death. That's great. Speaking of gumming it to death, we probably ought to put that picture in. Oh, anyway, enough about them. Anyway, we'll see what happens today with. They're
having a meeting this afternoon, right? At the White House.
Yeah, I think he's invited them back to the White House. See if anything gets done. See if they can maybe come up with a word that they can all agree on. Not a concrete wall. We got maybe a steel barrier. Steel slats, something you can see through. Who cares what it is? Just secure the border.
Do you think the administration is going to you know, come up with like some new things, maybe throw Doc in there, or you know, change something about the $5 billion, or something to make it palatable.
It seems like they're at an impasse right now. They both have to come away. I mean, they both have to come away with looking like
they won.
They won,
Mm-hmm.
or that no one won. The last thing they want is in 2020, Trump to be able to go out there and say, promises made, promises kept.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, oh, no. You made a promise. Your big promise was the wall. And you never kept that. We didn't give you the wall.
Yeah.
So.
But the point is, it's about them. It's about them winning or him winning. And it's not about us winning.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're the ones that are paying the taxes. We're the ones that are supposed to be protected.
We're the ones that are sucking wind out here.
We should win.
Exactly. Anyway, well, we gummed that to death, didn't we?
Oh, boy.
Josh, it's probably a good time to recognize some of our valued sponsors, and why don't we just take a quick break here? We'll come back and we'll touch on sports a little bit of a lighter note, and then maybe in the second hour we go international.
Let's go international. Yeah, we'll
talk
just
a
do
little trade. Talk a little. We got some breaking news also we need to cover. Rosenstein stepping down on his own. Maybe he got the memo.
I think he got the memo.
Maybe he got the memo. Maybe he's a little bit nervous about his next boss coming in. Barr. We'll see. There's a lot of rumor about that. We've got a bunch more stuff though that we can have some fun with. Anyway, Josh, take us to break, okay, bub?